In November 2007, a massive container ship named the Costco Busan drifted off course and tore into the San Francisco Bay Bridge. The impact ripped a massive gash in the ship's hull, spilling nearly 58,000 gallons of heavy bunker fuel into the bay, and triggered a massive, frantic cleanup on the surrounding beaches. When we hear about a shipwreck, it's tempting to blame the ocean. We picture a sudden storm, a rogue wave, or the raw, uncontrollable power of nature overwhelming a vessel. But accident investigators know the ocean is rarely the primary culprit. The real hazard is inside the ship. Modern vessels operate as psychological pressure cookers, where deep isolation and strict hierarchies and long hours compound over time. This diagram illustrates the Swiss cheese model of accident causation. Shipping companies build multiple layers of defenses, like navigation protocols and safety equipment, to stop any single hazard. But human errors create temporary holes in these defenses. A catastrophic failure happens when these gaps perfectly align. A maritime disaster is never a single stroke of bad luck. It is the final, devastating endpoint of an invisible chain of human errors. The first vulnerability in a ship's defense system is purely biological. Seafarers often live on board for over 6 months at a time. The constant vibration of the engine, fractured sleep schedules, and deep isolation create intense, cumulative physical fatigue. To see how lethal that exhaustion can be, we can look at the cement carrier Sumfjord, which sank off the northern coast of Scotland in early 2015. The ship was attempting to navigate the Pentland Firth, a notoriously difficult stretch of water, while facing severe gale force winds and heavy opposing tides that caused the vessel to pitch violently. The crew was completely depleted. For the 3 full days leading up to the storm, the captain and the chief officer had been grinding through a brutal watchkeeping routine. 6 hours on duty, 6 hours off, around the clock. That relentless physical drain completely destroyed their situational awareness. Their exhaustion led them to fatally underestimate a dangerous weather system they should have easily recognized and avoided. Even a well-rested crew can introduce a second vulnerability into the system: psychological failures, specifically arrogance and intentional rule-breaking. A prime example of this occurred in February 2015, when the UK cargo vessel Liesblink Seaways ran heavily aground. The investigation revealed that the chief officer had consumed a significant amount of alcohol while on duty, openly ignoring the ship owner's strict zero-tolerance policy. But the alcohol was just the first misstep. To hide his mistakes and avoid annoyance, the officer systematically dismantled the ship's built-in defenses. He intentionally silenced the audio warnings for navigation errors and left the bridge watch alarm switched off. A multi-million-dollar technical safety system is completely useless if human hubris decides to reach out and pull the plug. The final and perhaps most insidious vulnerability comes down to sociology, the rigid hierarchy and complex communication barriers of a multinational crew. If we go back to the Costco Busan disaster in San Francisco, the real point of failure happened on the bridge in the quiet moments before the crash. The Chinese captain actually recognized that the American maritime pilot was making an incorrect navigational decision, but due to cultural differences and the strict social hierarchy on board, the captain chose to remain completely silent. We saw the exact same phenomenon during the 2015 grounding of the Hamburg passenger vessel in Scotland. A junior cadet correctly plotted the ship's position, realizing they were heading straight into danger. Intimidated by the rigid rank structure on the bridge, the cadet felt he lacked the authority to speak up. Instead of challenging the senior officer on watch, he quietly took an eraser to the paper chart and deleted his correct position. When social hierarchy prevents a crew from openly communicating, that final layer of defense evaporates. The holes perfectly align and the collision becomes inevitable. If humans are inherently flawed, how can the maritime industry actually break these chains of error before a vessel goes down? The answer lies in a crucial diagnostic tool known as a near miss. A near miss is an unplanned, hazardous event that didn't cause actual damage, but easily could have under slightly different circumstances. These near misses function as visible warning signs, exposing exactly where the defense layers are starting to fail before the final barrier gives way. Proactive prevention relies on a foundational safety culture, a defense system that provides more protection than thicker hulls or louder alarms. In practice, a strong safety culture is an environment that flattens out the hierarchy. It's a bridge where a 20-year-old cadet feels fully empowered to look a veteran captain in the eye and tell him he is making a mistake. To safely navigate the world's oceans, the shipping industry must master the psychological vulnerabilities of the human mind as effectively as it masters the sea itself.